Uh, Dear friends, at your age, I was also like in an engineering college doing engineering, being good at studies, sincere and disciplined because I come from a family of army. My father was an army personnel who has fought India-Pakistan War of 1965. So, like an ideal student, I was there till my engineering. When my father started motivating me for civil services. Initially, that was a time when in India liberalization just started. There were lots of job opportunities and starting thinking of a different field, what you are doing in your studies was something which one cannot easily digest. Of engineering, when I started preparation for the civil services, the first thing which came to my mind was how to go about it. Okay, I had a very good motivator in my father. I was good at studies. But there is one more thing which is always required in your life. That is mentor. So when I was doing my engineering, in final year, I applied in engineering services because still it is very important to have a safe future. One should have a job where you can definitely go. Civil services is not a game of 1 or 2 years, many a time. Many a time you will see that people have appeared in 4 or 5 attempts also. So my first priority was to get a decent job. So in the final year only, I got selected in my first attempt only, I got selected into Indian Engineering Services. And that was the time when one of my teachers, and he's a professor in DTU, he's HOD Electronics there. And this is another coincidence, a very pleasant coincidence. When I was coming here into NSUT, I got a phone call from him. But I could not receive his call. I missed his call. Then he called me when I was sitting here. He just called me. Then he asked me, "Are you busy in TEDx talk?" I said, "No, sir, but how do you know?" So he told me that I was there in the morning with the VC of NSUT. At the time, the civil services exam and forest service exam used to be different. Okay, I was opting for civil services, but not for forest service because forest services is quite unique in the sense, in forest service only science graduate can apply. You have to have science as one of the subject during your graduation. So he told me that why don't you appear in this exam? So I thought that this is a different type of exam. I already have opted for one of the humanities subject in civil services. It will be very difficult for me to opt two different science subjects now. But he still keep on motivating me, and ultimately I thought of appearing in this exam. By the time I had already joined the engineering services in New Delhi, I had one more option to go for one another service in railways, which I qualified in next year after my first attempt. So that was my first attempt. Then the result of written came. Then interview happened, and it just clicked. Many a time what I'm trying to say about this small story is that many a time you don't know that what kind of expertise or inherent advantage you have. Maybe the people around you, they know it. So that is how I came into forest service, and I joined forest service in 1999. That happens to be one of the smallest batch in the history of Indian Forest Service. We were only 22 in that batch, and there was only one lady officer. So when I came to this service, I had two things in my mind. Many a time there are many aspirants here also. When we aspire for civil services, many a time we think that, okay, their lifestyle is very good, they are at a very good decision-making level, so things like that. And they have a different type of respect in the society. But when I joined Forest Service, I thought that okay, definitely all these things I'll get because of by being a member of this service. But how I can contribute? Okay, so our training in Forest Service is quite unique. At the time it used to be for 3 years, now it is for 1.5 years, and most of the training is through a touring. For around 8 months, we travel throughout the country. We visit different forest areas, different national parks and sanctuaries, and we get training in other aspects also. And many people will be surprised to know that we part of our training is in IMA also, Indian Military Academy. This is the only service where you have horse riding, where you have swimming, where you have weapon training also. Okay, and this is the only service where before joining the service you have to pass a physical test also. That is 25-kilometer walk in 4 hours for boys and 3 hours 15-kilometer for girls. And from when the service started, you have to take 10 rounds of Delhi Zoo. Have you been to Delhi Zoo? The one round track is 2.5 kilometers. So you have to take 10 rounds of that. So when I joined this service, so I had in my mind that because ultimately wherever you go, wherever you are, whether you are in private sector or in government sector, other speakers they were also told you the same thing. Ultimately, you have to have some satisfaction to your conscience also. Whether you have contributed something to your society in your profession. Okay, so these were things which were there in my mind. So during our training, during our my initial postings, I identified there were two important things which were very important for a forest service officer. One is about the service only. I found that in this service or in this department, we are very poor in law enforcement. Like police, they deal with CRPC, IPC, or general crimes. We deal with the crimes which are related with wildlife crime or forest crime, like cutting the trees or forest or maybe poaching. Okay, so and especially the hunting. This is very important that after these drugs and smuggling, this crime of related to forest or the wildlife stand at the number 3 in the values of money. So I try to develop skills about the law enforcement and enforcement. In the early years of my service, I came up with this book, and I also, in the meantime, I also had developed the interest for the training. So after doing couple of postings in field, I went to Forest Academy as a faculty in 2010. Okay, so during my during this time, I used to travel a lot with the officer training. There is a small instance when we were traveling in Gujarat. One of the district forest officer, he called me. We were supposed to take lunch there in Porbandar, a place called Porbandar. Then we were supposed to move ahead for Gir National Park. He told me that I want to come and receive you on the highway. I told him, why, Mr. Parmar, you will come here. Ultimately, we are coming to you and we'll have lunch there with you. So don't worry, we'll come. But he insisted and he came. And he sat in my vehicle. That place was still about an hour away from that place. Then I again told him, why did you bother? Then Mr. Parmar told me that I came here just to give you a different, just to give you a regard for a different purpose. Then he asked me, what was that reason? Then he told that by referring to your book, I have won 8 cases of hunting in my area. Because previously, we never used to win the case, because in otherwise also, you might have seen otherwise also, in India or in any other country, the conviction rate is very poor. Case they keep on lingering on, and after many years, we don't have enough evidence, and you fail in the case. So that was a great satisfaction for me. And there is another aspect which is very important related with the forest and wildlife, and many of you are associated with that also. Some of you must be going to forest area for recreation. Many of you must be going there for enjoying the wildlife. And many a time when we go to forest area, we try to associate with animals. Right? How the animal expresses. Many a time we think, oh, animal is thinking like this. Okay, animal is happy, animal is sad. Or his face look like this. And many time we go to forest area, आप लोगों ने देखा होगा बहुत लोगों को हम लोग, we know the animals by their name, because animals they don't have their name, but as a human we try to associate themselves with us and try to give them name. किसी का टाइगर का नाम विराट रख देते हैं, किसी का कुछ रख देते हैं, किसी का कुछ रख देते हैं. Recently you must have come to know about one tigress called Polar Wali. I will narrate another incident about that particular tiger. But what has happened because of all this increasing wildlife tourism in country? But wherever you go in tourism areas, there is a tourism zone. The animals they get habituated over a period of time, and when you go very close to them, you also feel very safe. Most of the time people say that tiger तो कभी भी अटैक कर सकता है, but नहीं करता है वो. But टाइगर कभी भी अटैक कर सकता है ना, तो ये बात सच है, और वो नहीं करता है ये बात भी सच है. क्यों? Because tiger is a very shy animal. Tiger always try to be away from the human being. Most of the time when you go to forest, 99% times tiger can sight you, but you are not able to. Only 1% chance is there you sight the tiger, and obviously at the time also tiger will sight you. Okay, so this photograph I took in 2007. Okay, there was one wildlife movie which was made by BBC in Page Tiger Reserve of Madhya Pradesh. This particular in the previous picture you might have seen that this tiger was in a particular pose. This tiger was basically stalking on a deer. Okay, and this is a very young tiger, 1.5 years, going to be adult, and it is said that after 1.5 years, tiger will move away from the mother, and it will create its own territory. But because of excessive interaction with the humans and excessive interference in their basic life or in their basic ecology, we basically humanize with the tiger. As I told you that there is one famous tigress Machli. There is a movie on this on this tigress. There is a Polar Wali, another tigress. Recently she died, and this Polar Wali was sibling of that particular tiger which I photographed in 2007. And it is said that this tigress has given birth to 29 cubs in her lifetime. That is very unlike in a natural setting. Okay, so this is another aspect which was changing over a period of time in Indian wildlife tourism. So when I got posted as field director Corbett Tiger Reserve, I had two things in my mind. One was how to deal with the man-animal conflict, because ultimately it looks very very interesting and very fascinating to sight a tiger, go and sight a tiger. But think about the life of the people, those who are living on fringes of these forest areas. Their life is very difficult many a time, because the animals they go out, they come in conflict with the human. People, those who go inside the forest, they for grass cutting or for other basic needs, they also come in conflict with the tiger, and anything can happen. Okay, so this was there in my mind when I joined as field director Corbett Tiger Reserve. So this was the time when where I thought how I can use the technology to deal with these two aspects. One was regulation of tourism, and other was minimizing the human-wildlife conflict. And it becomes very difficult to face such situation when there is any killing by tiger or elephant of human. Maybe a very young child of animals is killed by a tiger or leopard or elephant. You can understand what will go in their mind or what will be their condition in their home. Okay, so this was on one side. You have to protect the wildlife. On the other side, you have to see the welfare of the local people also. So to counter this, to deal with these two issues, when I joined Corbett Tiger Reserve as field director in my first posting in 2013, the regulation was this was very important aspect, how to regulate the tourism. This is a very simple thing which we adopted there. We just put the time-lapse cameras in areas where there used to be congregation of vehicles. So as soon as we put the time-lapse cameras, the congregation of vehicles stopped within a week, because the photographs of vehicles were coming. and we know the number of vehicles. Because otherwise it is very difficult to go into the forest and deal with each and every vehicle. Okay, यहाँ पर मत खड़े होइए, यहाँ पर भीड़ मत करिए. Okay, this was one use of technology which we used, and other one was very important that we use the drones also to monitor the movement of the tourist. Okay, there is one more thing. 50% you can use the technology to actually apprehend the offender, and 50% is the deterrent value. In any case of any case of crime, you must have seen there are lots of CCTV cameras in cities also. So CCTV camera also play a role of deterrent. So in the same way, this time-lapse camera and these drones, they played a very important role of a deterrent. Another important thing, it is not the officers or the government or the enforcement agency who use the technology. Anyone who is into the offense, they are also using technology. We found a very interesting case where some foreign tourists, they wanted to capture the photograph of a particular bird. They came with the pre-recorded sounds of the birds so that they can attract the bird. So this is one case where which we found, and this is a big scale of use of technology at a big scale. This system is known as electronic surveillance. Actually, the setting of Corbett Tiger Reserve is such that it is at the boundary of Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh, and in many places there is no forest between Tiger Reserve and the boundary of Uttar Pradesh. To keep the vigilance, we initiated this particular approach of having surveillance through IR cameras through a range of towers where the signals from one tower were transmitted to other, then another tower, and ultimately it was coming to the base station. And we were able to monitor the movement of animal as well as the human beings. There were many instances when we could catch the offenders related with mining. People used to come from the UP side, they used to do the mining and they used to go away without getting noticed by the forest officer. And this, I was talking to somebody that he was asking me, is there any scope of research in this field of wildlife? This is the only service which have maximum scope of research. What we need to know, suppose we do the estimation of any animal, we just want to know the number. And what is our basic idea or the basic approach? To go to the actual number as far as we can, as far as it can be possible. Suppose the actual number of tiger or a particular species in a particular forest area is 200. So if you can actually capture, if you have actually a sample of 119 tiger or photograph of 190 tiger, then you are very close to the total number. So this is what we did in Corbett Tiger Reserve. Previously, when Wildlife Institute of India used to do the studies, they used to put a camera trap in 4 square kilometer grid. That means in 4 square kilometer grid of area, you used to have a set of cameras. Okay, there are 2 cameras which are placed in front of each other, and camera clicks the photo, and then what we do, every tiger is a unique tiger. How unique? Because their stripe pattern is unique, just like our thumb impression or other impressions. Okay, so every tiger is a different tiger. Every tiger is a different tiger from the point of view of their stripe pattern. First of all, we extract the pattern from that tiger. We use software. One of the software known as extract compared software. From extract compare software, we extract the pattern of the tiger. Then we compare the stripe of one tiger with all other tigers which are there in that area. Okay. So for the first time, we tried to use this a new methodology of going for a grid size of 2 square kilometers. Instead of 4 square kilometers, we thought, why don't we go for 2 square kilometers? There will be more probability of capturing the animal. Okay, so for the first time, we used 2 square kilometers and we came up with very good result. In fact, for the first time, the Wildlife Institute of India, which was given the responsibility of tiger estimation throughout the country, they said that no, we don't agree with this number. This is an exaggerated number. There are not so many tigers in Corbett. And in 2018, when ultimately they compiled the data, they definitely found that the number is very true. Because what we used, we went to the we went inside the theory and we thought that let us try to capture maximum number of maximum amount of the population. So that is how we went, and ultimately the same methodology or the same technique was ultimately adopted by the whole country. Now the same technology or the methodology is being throughout the country. So this is how I developed certain skills during my service, certain interests also, and how you fulfill those interests not by compromising with the ethics of your service. Okay, so I think this was my last slide, and I also use social media not for the purpose of just sharing my experience or sharing something. So thank you very much. This one quote which I always this was there in your Insta post also. You know, when we talk about the animals or the forest or the nature, we try to see it from a different point of view. It's a different world. It's not like that. It is part of a single universe or a single earth. There is only one earth for us, for forest, for wildlife, everyone. So we should have some ethical relationship with the animals, ethical relationship with the forest, ethical relationship with the nature. So thank you very much.